Hello everybody, it is Nicole from iiKiui, and today I have a review video for Arteza. As a disclaimer, I did receive these items for free in exchange for my honest review, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first item we have are the Arteza fine liners, and I have the 72 pack. It comes in this metal tin, and it has 3 layers. The first 2 being more of the normal colors, and the last one seeming to be more pastel. The fine liners also come in other size packs. They have a 24 pack, 48, and a 72. Comparing the prices from the Arteza website to Amazon, it is cheaper to get the fine liners on the Arteza website, not including shipping and handling. The 72 pack is $16.57 on the Arteza website, whereas on Amazon it is $26.99. The things that I like about this fine liner set is that it actually has a ton of colors, and although there are some that do seem to repeat or are at least very similar, they have a very wide range and it's very affordable. The order that I show the fine liners in may be different from the default because I accidentally dropped mine, so they kind of got mixed up. As I mentioned before, the first 2 trays seem to be more normal colors, whereas the last one seems to be more of a pastel. However, some of the pastel ones do not show up pastel. As I swatch, you'll see that the first couple, I believe more like a red-pink tones, are actually quite dark, even though their barrel, I guess like color tip, is very pastel. Another thing I noticed is that the yellows are really hard to see. I know this can't really be helped because yellow is kind of a hard color to work with anyways, but it's something to keep in mind. There are some colors that are relatively difficult to see. The barrels on these fine liners are triangle shaped, so they have an interesting grip to them. I think that they work, but they're also a little bit more unusual for me. I do like more circular barrels, but the triangle doesn't hinder my ability to write. You'll see me applying this fine liner to a watercolor drawing. One of them I did before applying the paint and one of them I did afterwards. If you do it before, it will bleed, and I noticed that after applying paint over the fine liners, they just lose their color. So it's suggested that you would do it afterwards anyways. Other than that, I don't really have any complaints about this product. I really like the range of colors, and I've been using it a lot for my bullet journal. I also like that it is very affordable compared to other pens that are very similar. The second item is the Gouache Premium Paint Set, and it is a 24 pack. On the Arteza website it is $19.89. And on Amazon it is $18.98, so it is a little cheaper on Amazon depending on if you count shipping and handling. I don't really have that much experience with gouache. I only really used the Winsor & Newton one before in school, I think like 3 years back, so I don't have that much experience with it, but I know it's more of like a mix between acrylic and watercolor where it can be opaque, but it can also be like watercolor and go translucent with water added. When I did the swatches for these, I found that it was a little difficult to apply, considering that it should be able to be opaque and translucent. I tried to do a transition, but it didn't seem to work and kind of came out a little choppy. I couldn't really get a smooth swipe of it. This set does include a neon pink, which I thought was pretty interesting. It has a couple yellows, reds, browns, greens, blues, and one purple, or 1 or 2 purples depending on what you count the rose color. I did notice a lack of like a more orangey color, but then again you can mix it with the white. I also noticed there are 2 whites in this set. One is titanium white and one is just white. So that was interesting to me, but I know gouache can also be used like acrylic and you can add highlights with the white. So that's not really a bad thing to have 2 whites. After applying it to my character, I noticed that it had kind of a chalky feel at the end, and it was also a little bit harder to blend. So once it kind of dried up, adding another color on top almost look like wax on top because it was hard to blend it again. When I did the tail on the warm toned mermaid, the one on the left, she had a blend from the orangey color I mixed to a yellow, but there was definitely a significant difference and contrast to them, so I had to keep mixing it with some watercolor, although I feel like it's not really that smooth of a transition. And most of the colors that I did use on the character were just the colors by themselves without mixing, except for the orange, which I had to mix myself. However, like I said, I am still new to gouache, so I don't really have any expert advice or experience with it, so I can't really say professionally, but as a beginner, this is a good set to work with because it is affordable and it is something that you can keep practicing with, and it comes with quite a lot of product for the price. Compared to the Winsor & Newton ones, they are usually like $10 per tube, at least the ones that I've gotten. Of course, I've used coupons to get them cheaper, but they're still about $7 each. It's pretty expensive compared to this set, so if you want to practice with it, this set is not a bad deal. The last product is the watercolor set, and on the Arteza website, there's a 24 pack for $23.98. But on Amazon it is $18.98. So again, cheaper on Amazon than on the Arteza website. But they also have a 12 pack on the Arteza website for $10. Comparing this to the gouache set, they had some different colors. I noticed this one didn't have 2 whites. Instead it actually had 2 purples and a couple more blues than the gouache set. I also noticed that the watercolor seemed to be easier to blend and to swatch, so the swatches came out much smoother than the gouache. And maybe it's just because I know how to use watercolor a little bit more than gouache, but it was easier to blend for me. However, I did notice that the texture was similar to the gouache, where it has a chalkier texture. On the mermaid on the right, I did accidentally go over the skin in her fin. But when I went over purple, you could still see where the skin kind of bled over. So I guess after it dries, it's kind of almost permanent in the sense that it's hard to go over unless you use a lot more paint. 2 of the blues also looked pretty similar. I'm not sure if that was intentional or if it's because of the opacity that I used, but there are 2 almost repeats of the same colors. However, overall, I think this is a really good set for beginners. Again, it is affordable and it comes with a lot of watercolors you can play around with and use it. It's not something you have to worry about spending a ton of money on, so I think it's good to use for other beginners, or like maybe if you need it for classwork, you don't need to splurge on the super expensive kind. For the mermaids, I realized I unintentionally made them the same color schemes as the fire and water elementals. I was actually just going for a warm tone and a cool tone, and I guess that kind of translated the same as the elementals that I used. As an update, I just want to tell you guys that I am working on revamping my whole YouTube channel, changing what my purpose, I guess, is for this channel, so please be patient with me. I've noticed that a lot of people aren't subscribing, but that's okay. I just want you guys to know that I'm not gonna leave just yet, and I plan to come back with more things. It's just that I'm getting ready to graduate, so if you guys know what college graduation is like, then you know the amount of work that I have to do still. Anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you guys are curious about Arteza's products, there are links down below to all the products that I've mentioned. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Keep drawing, keep painting, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!